I don't know what this is, man. Something screaming down there, man.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Classified Captures. Get ready for excitement like you've never felt before, all year long. Without wasting much of your time, let's begin today's episode. We start today's episode with a question. What would you do if you discovered a monster hiding in your roof? Sounds like a hypothetical question, right? Well, for the one who uploaded our first footage, it was not. Yes, that's the hand of a monster of sorts showing above the door. How it got there, no one knows, but clearly everyone present is scared and worried. The uploader suspects it's a potential Bigfoot, and looking at those furry hands, I don't blame her for thinking so. There are others, however, who think that it's nothing more than a monkey which found its way into their house while they were away. While the monkey explanation sounds more plausible and likely, it's not any less frightening than the Bigfoot. The uploader shared this video while it was happening live. We don't know what they discovered when they broke into the house. Which do you think it is? Bigfoot, monkey, or even a hoax? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Still on Bigfoot, we travel all the way to snowy Russia for our next footage. Take a look. Now, you may not understand what's happening, but the recorder of the footage decided to embark on a journey into the snowy night to prove to everyone that the Bigfoot that they had apparently been seeing was nothing more than a hoax. Once out there, however, he started to notice these strange prints in the snow. Although skeptical, he started to record just in case there was a Bigfoot, and that's exactly what he found. Some 2 kilometers from him, he saw a creature moving. Zooming in, he recorded what you see on your screen, but of course it's blurry due to how zoomed in the footage is. He truly believes he encountered a Bigfoot. Some have called the whole thing a hoax, stating that they couldn't understand how the first footage was as clear as day and the last one was as blurry as the dark night. Quite frankly, I know zooming in could do that to footage, but perhaps that's a convenient way to explain a hoax. What do you think? Did this Russian really encounter a Bigfoot, or is he playing mind games? Have you seen a ladder take a walk? Well, if you haven't, today's your lucky day. Take a look. Yup, that's a ladder walking away. At some point, my assistant thought it was just the wind, but the wind won't move it in the way it did unless there was some invisible person working it out. We slowed the footage to try and see if there was any strings attached to any of the legs, but we couldn't find any convincing patterns that would establish it. We were left to accept that the ladder is indeed walking. How is it doing that? Well, we wish we knew. Perhaps some things are best left a mystery. If you didn't think Bigfoot or the Sasquatch was real, perhaps this next footage might change your mind. Enjoy. Once the footage starts, we're introduced to a crime scene. In a second or two, we see something dark, furry, and tall move in the background. Enter our Bigfoot. At this point, any skeptic might think that it's nothing more than a man in a costume. If you're one of those, you're forgiven. The creature moving in the background then easily picks up a tree and then hits the ground or another tree with it. Not particularly sure what it's doing, but you have to admit that it takes some strength and power to pull that off, and no man can do that. If you're a skeptic, what do you have to say for yourself after seeing this clip? Imagine being on a railway track and having a creature show up on it and refuse to move. This is what happened to these Russians who were simply going about their daily activities. We're not sure why the moose got on the track or why it's even refusing to move despite the loud horns, but you can't deny the fact that it's cute. If you were the one in charge of the train, what would you have done? Would you have been as patient as the ones in this footage, or would you have done something else? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. AI is everywhere now and involved in everything now that we basically can no longer imagine a future without some sort of AI. But is AI as safe as we think it is? Before you answer, watch this footage. Yes, those are AI robots sitting in a game. While many think this is cute and represents an advancement in the human race, you have to agree that it could be also dangerous. I mean, what if these things turn on us and start attacking? Who would be there to keep us safe? Stepping away from AI potentially becoming sentient, we have another footage that shows us something else that's become rather sentient. Something that would have been the least on our list. Take a look. Yes, that's an umbrella taking a walk in the street. If you asked me which would happen first, robot dictators or walking umbrellas, I would have thought you were joking. I mean, robots taking over the world seems more plausible than umbrellas going for a walk. Alas, here we are watching an umbrella take a walk. What do you think of it? Real, hoax, or something else entirely? Share your thoughts. You wake up one serene morning, the world outside blanketed in fresh snow after a night of gentle flurries. As you groggily approach the window to take in the wintry scene, you're met with an unexpected sight. A majestic moose, tall and proud, right outside your window. Its breath forms little clouds in the chilly air as it curiously peers into your room, almost as if it's offering a friendly good morning. The moose, with its massive antlers and a coat of snowflakes, seems to embody the peaceful charm of the winter landscape. This person was driving on the road in the middle of the night when he came across this in the sky. You see it, don't you? A strange person floating in the sky. Is it human, though? I mean, it's hard to tell since whatever it is has a robe on. I have my theories on what this might be, but looking at it, what do you see? Tell us in the comment section. Have you ever seen a sewer cover dance? If you answered no, then boy, are you in luck. Enjoy. This footage was captured by a man who noticed a sewer cover dancing. It's not a waltz or anything remotely close, but how else do you describe this? There was no one around, no indication of a rope attached to it, which makes the whole thing strange. The man decided to film it, but I'm starting to believe that there are some invisible and invincible entities messing with us humans for entertainment. What do you think? Now that's a wild wake-up call. Imagine unzipping your tent all ready to face the day, and boom! There's a deer right there giving you the morning stare down. This camper had the experience and didn't have to imagine it. Lucky guy. It's almost like Mr. Deer there is his campsite guardian waiting for him to join the great outdoors. What do you think of it? Spooky or cute? While out in the mountains in Turkey, a group of men came across a creature on a hill staring down at them. From the footage, we can tell that the creature had a pair of horns and eyes glowing in the dark. Its head resembled that of a goat, while its body looked almost like a human crouching down. Could this be the legendary Goat Man? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section. In Georgia, a pair of famous YouTubers set out into the woods to investigate an old abandoned house. When they got there, the house was empty with not much to film, so they decided to look around. This led them to the lower part of the house. As they were there, they heard footsteps coming from the house above them, which was strange because they were the only ones present.
So that's a 1958 Coke bottle, right? What is that?
So they crawled out of there only to be met with silence and emptiness. Who was that third person they heard? Was it the ghost of the former resident of the house, or was it a spirit present? Before you watch the next clip, could you please hit the like button, subscribe, and even drop a comment? If you haven't already, it goes a long way to make it possible to create more videos for you. Thank you for doing so. Moving back to the day's episode. Entering a cave and stumbling upon a pride of lions is not an everyday occurrence. It sounds like a scene straight out of a wildlife documentary. The image of these majestic creatures huddled up in a small cave opening is quite surreal. It certainly is a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, and the one filming is very fortunate that the lions didn't see him as a threat. Even if they did, they chose to simply threaten him without attacking. Perhaps they were taking a nap after a substantial meal, or maybe they were simply not in the mood. Perhaps they also didn't want to move out of their comfort zone, as it looked like the cave offered a cool and sheltered spot for a rest. What creatures do you think we are looking at here? This footage surfaced back in 2018 from a farm in Indiana, and it shows what I can only describe as a hideous-looking creature. The body of the creature looks like that of a goat, but its long neck and strange face say otherwise. When this footage surfaced on the internet, people were quick to give their opinions about it, and given its appearance, most comments were pretty harsh. Some said the creature was the ugliest animal in the world. Others said it looked like the devil himself, while others called it the monster goat. But after a little research, we found out that this is not a monster goat or the devil himself. It's called a Damascus goat. They're a rare breed of goat with rather distinct features. This one, however, looks this way according to some because of selective breeding. Can the experts confirm or debunk this? In the next footage, we see a group of men sitting in a hospital hallway, probably to visit a loved one. They all seemed occupied with their phones when all of a sudden, a scrubbed-in doctor came running from the other side of the hallway. No one paid attention to him, but a few moments later, a wheelchair wheeled itself into the place from the direction the doctor came from. Yes, it wheeled itself. There was nobody in the chair, and neither was there someone pushing it. The man seeing this scrambled out of the place. How did the chair move? What was controlling it? How did this story end? Those are questions we may never receive answers to. Our next footage was taken by some hikers in British Columbia as far back as 2013. take a look. They were on a mountain when they noticed a dark furred humanoid walking below from a distance. They believed they had seen Bigfoot. Looking at the footage, it has to be. But then again, there's only so much we can see. Skeptics who saw the footage believed it couldn't be declared as a Bigfoot, which comes as no surprise to us. After all, skeptics often attribute such sightings to misidentifications, shadows, or other natural phenomena. In many cases, what people believe to be Bigfoot turns out to be a bear, a person, or some other explainable phenomena. So the question remains, was this a genuine Bigfoot sighting, or could there be a more rational explanation for the figure the hikers saw? On that note, if you still haven't liked, commented, or subscribed to the channel yet, please do so now before I send that creature after you. On a more serious note, it really helps out a ton and gives us the opportunity to keep making these videos for you, so please do so and share this video with your friends and family. Thank you very much. Our next footage is one of the reasons why people believe that we are indeed in a matrix. A lighter was put on a table by a wall. The fire was lit, but when you looked at the wall, there was something strange going on. The shadow of the lighter was showing on the wall, but the fire was not. There could be a few explanations for such an occurrence. One possibility is that the lighting conditions and the camera angle created a situation where the shadow was more prominent than the flame itself. Shadows can sometimes be more defined depending on the light source and the angle. What are your thoughts? A man went out in the snow with his dog just to enjoy the winter. Suddenly, a wild moose appears. Now, most people would think, oh, well, it's just a moose. They're chill, right? Well, not this one. The moose decides to go full-on sprint mode toward the guy. Probably upset about something. Luckily, he moved out of the way. From what we can tell, this moose is not a morning person. The dog, on the other hand, seems to have a lot of energy because it starts to bark at the huge moose in an attempt to save its owner. Luckily, the moose did not attack any further, and the man called his dog and both retreated to the comfort of their home. Venturing into an abandoned cave can indeed unleash surprises, and it sounds like this couple got more than they bargained for. They were on a hike in the mountains when they heard a noise coming from the cave nearby. Now, most folks call it a day, but not these two. They decide to soldier on. As they went further into the cave, the noise strangely stopped, but they still decided to check it out, and what they saw scared them out of the place. There, emerging from the darkness of the cave, was a creature with glowing eyes. It was very slender and tall and made a strange ticking sound. What could they have seen in the cave? Logically, there could be several explanations. It might be a creature native to the cave, perhaps a type of animal adapted to low-light conditions. Looking at its features, however, I'm pretty sure it's something sinister. While we are trying to figure out the strange creatures and phenomena that plague our world, there are also those who choose to do strange things that leave us all shocked and questioning them. This footage was taken on a train. In the footage, we see a person in a costume and heavy makeup eating spaghetti on the floor. I mean, this is a train, and I don't even want to get started on how unsanitary that is. But what is wrong with this person? Could it be that he needs help psychologically, or is he just doing this for attention? Any New Yorker with an answer? This footage has been all over social media, and no one seems to have a good explanation. In the footage, we can see what looks like a woman in a bikini on all fours, running and jumping effortlessly like an animal. No one knows who she is or why she's doing that. Without additional information, it's challenging to pinpoint the exact motivation behind the behavior captured in the footage. However, the allure of the mysterious often fuels speculation. Some see possession, while others see mental instability. What are your thoughts? After a heavy snowstorm, a man began to hear strange noises coming from the woods. My rule of thumb in such situations is to stay put and not go out, but this man did the opposite.
I got something coming down, man. I got something screaming down there. I don't know what this is, man. Something screaming down there, man. Hello? Where are you? Show yourself right now!
As we can tell from the footage, he went out in search of the origin of the noise. As he got closer, he noticed that the noise did not belong to any animal he knew, which made him panic. Judging from the sound, we can tell it's a huge creature. We don't, however, see the creature to judge. Some think it's a Wendigo, but like I said, we don't see anything. Do you? Talk about a head scratcher. So this dude walks into his place, right? Normal day until he spots his ring just hanging out in midair. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that's some weird magic show happening right there. But you have to wonder, is it a glitch in the Matrix, some supernatural shenanigans, or did the laws of physics just decide to take a coffee break? I mean, coming home and finding your ring playing the levitation game is definitely not your everyday sight. What's your take on it though? Matrix glitch, a new age Houdini trick, or maybe just a gravity-defying jewelry piece? Share your thoughts with us.
Ah, young love. That is one thing we have all experienced, unless, of course, you are younger than young. But what happens when you visit the one your heart calls home and you find an uninvited guest in their home?
This place is so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
What the somebody in there with you?
No.
Did you see the figure that moved just behind the girl? The guy even had to ask if she was there alone. While some of you might have been expecting this to be a cheating video, it's far from that. In fact, if you take a critical look at it, you'd realize that whatever moved behind the lady was not human. It looked like a paranormal being and might have actually caused the man to freak out a little. I can't say I blame him though, I would have too. But we are left with questions. Who or what is that? How long had it been in the room with the lady? Was it dangerous and evil? Or is there something more happening here we are not seeing? It's hard to say, but please do share your thoughts on this. We'd greatly appreciate it.
This place is so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
What the somebody in there with you?
No.
Talk about a cave adventure taking a peculiar turn. These intrepid paranormal explorers stumbled upon a pair of slender legs happily swinging out of a hole. Now, that's not your typical cave encounter, with no one else around, whose legs are these and what in the eerie depths of the cave is going on. It's a leggy mystery that adds a dash of the unexpected to their exploration. What's your bet on the origin of these swinging limbs? A mysterious cave dweller, or perhaps a woodland yoga enthusiast practicing in an unconventional spot? Alright, hold on to your fishing rods because this one's a whopper. Picture this, a group of fellas out on a fishing expedition, casting their lines into the great unknown. Now, if you're not familiar, a lancefish is no ordinary catch. These slender, sleek creatures are like the James Bonds of the deep sea. With their pointy snouts and streamlined bodies, they're built for aquatic espionage. They boast large mouths filled with sharp teeth, making them efficient predators in the dark depths. Additionally, their bioluminescent patches make them masters of underwater camouflage. Hold on to your controllers because we've got a gamer's ghost story. So, a guy was casually chilling in his living room, and what does he spot? His Xbox cable doing a little wiggle dance all on its own. Now, that's not your everyday occurrence. Is it some glitch in the matrix of electronics? Or could it be a friendly spirit trying to join in on the gaming action? Imagine the ghost came because it has some high scores to show off. Either way, it's a tale to tell. A group of soldiers were trekking through the woods when they came across what looked like an angry gorilla. The creature was huge and held quite a threatening stance as the soldiers passed by. Now, these soldiers, tough as they are, couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy. You could see it on their faces, a mix of awe and a hint of, I hope this gorilla isn't in a bad mood. Because, let's be real, that gorilla looked like it meant business. However, they were able to master the courage to pass by the gorilla, who did not even lift a finger at them. This hunter, on his hunting expedition, did not expect to come face to face with a bear. As the bear approached, he sat there calmly waiting for the bear to pass by. But unfortunately, the bear spotted him and started to charge towards him. In order to scare it off, he began to yell and growl at the bear, but it looks like this bear was a tough guy. It got to the man and charged at him, knocking off his GoPro. Though off-cam, we could hear them struggling in the background. After a few seconds, the man picks up his camera, which lets us all know that he was safe. Apparently, the bear just decided to pack and leave. Not many would have survived a situation like that. Looks like this hunter is much tougher than the bear. This next footage features a fisherman who came across Bigfoot tracks on the wet ground by a river. The tracks were bigger than his size 10 feet. In addition, the tracks were also very deep, indicating that whatever made them was very heavy. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The fisherman insists that these tracks belong to a junior Bigfoot. Yeah, you heard it right, a young one. According to him, he's seen these tracks around the area before and is convinced that there's a whole Bigfoot family living it up in those woods. He speaks with great conviction that I am tempted to believe him. But what do you also think about the whole thing? Does it sound believable? Or is he simply trying to pull a fast one on us? Share your thoughts. Next, we have another piece of footage that's sure to blow your mind. In the footage, we see an old man walking on the street carrying a bucket when out of nowhere, a dog emerged from behind the bucket and ran off. The question here is, where did the dog come from? Some skeptics are throwing around the idea that the dog must have time traveled, others are convinced it stepped out of a portal, and then there's the Matrix glitch theory. While all these are interesting, they don't explain where the dog came from. So, what's your take on this canine mystery? Time travel, portal hopping, or just a quirky Matrix hiccup? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Finding out that an elusive creature has taken over your home would undoubtedly be a harrowing experience. There, standing in the middle of the woods, is a humanoid figure. However, this figure looks frozen in place. It also looked so pale, almost like a statue or perhaps a ghost. The man was left perplexed and shocked by the encounter. He stood there wondering what or who the humanoid figure was. After standing for minutes, he still had no answers and proceeded to post online. We have reviewed it severally and can't seem to make anything of it. What's your take on this mystifying forest encounter? Do you think the woods conceal supernatural secrets, or is there a rational explanation for this petrifying apparition? Tell us in the comments section. Some men went hiking on the Colorado mountain when they came across a creature they believed to be Bigfoot. The creature in question was seated on the ground behind a tree, boasting brown fur and an unmistakably ape-like appearance. Notably, this region is renowned for its Bigfoot sightings, so the possibility that they encountered the elusive creature is not out of the question. According to the hikers, when they returned, the creature was gone, and what was left in the spot was a pile of straws. Our next footage was making rounds on the internet. It was taken in a remote village. In the footage, you can see a massive snake tied up. It looks like the snake doesn't like the idea of being bound, so it keeps struggling and wiggling about in an attempt to free itself from the bondage. The villagers do not know where the snake came from, but in order to be safe, they decided to tie it up. Just look at how huge this thing is. Snakes are creatures in the natural environment. Some people like them and keep them as pets, while others are creeped out by their slithery appearance. In this footage, a homeowner captured a snake creeping out of his closet one evening while he was ready to go to bed. The snake was huge and yellow in color. It lay stretched on the floor while staring at the homeowner on the bed. We are not sure if the snake was a pet or an intruder, but still, seeing a snake crawl out of your closet to stare at you is unsettling. If you think I am overreacting, close your eyes and imagine it.
Do you believe that there are occult groups living among us? Well, if you didn't, prepare to have your worldview shaken by this compelling footage. Take a look at the figure dancing, or whatever it is, in the woods, donning a hood and surrounded by an eerie silence. No audience, no music, just this lone individual. The TikToker named Brian Young, who posted this video, stumbled upon this surreal scene while exploring the woods. Naturally, it wasn't just a startling sight, it sent shivers down his very spine. If you listen closely to Brian's commentary in the video, you'll understand just how unnerved he was. Let's focus on the mysterious figure in the video. What do you think he was doing? Could it be some form of initiation for aspiring occult members? Or perhaps an attempt to summon something or someone? We've witnessed countless horrors and occult movies where scenes like this unfold, but can't seem to place our finger on it. Do tell us what you think. We'd love to hear it. We've encountered our fair share of spine-chilling creatures, but nothing quite like the one before us. I mean, seriously, what on earth could this creature be? If you're at a loss for words, don't worry, you're not alone. A fan on this channel was going through the woods when he suddenly heard eerie sounds. These weren't your typical forest noises, they were wild and ferocious, like nothing he'd ever experienced in all his years of venturing into the wilderness. It was crystal clear to him that his life hung in the balance, and he needed no one to tell him this. Naturally, he became attentive and heightened his senses. He was not going to let whatever the creature was take him by surprise. He had to live. He had to get back to his family. Suddenly, the environment went silent. Too silent. It was as though time had stopped and everything was moving in bullet time. As much as he would have loved this to mean all was well and he had nothing to worry about, he knew better. This was the calm right before the storm, and he was right. Out of nowhere, a creature emerged from the depths of the woods a few hundred meters away from him. He strained to discern the nature of this enigmatic being, but his words failed him. It possessed a lion-like face coupled with a body that bore human-like features, albeit excessively hairy and reminiscent of an ape. Fortunately, the creature appeared more interested in intimidation than in pursuing him, allowing him to escape unharmed. In a stroke of luck, he managed to capture this image, which he eagerly sent us for analysis. Our team has dedicated days to deciphering the true nature of this enigma, scouring through countless folklore references. Yet we find ourselves at a loss, unable to definitively identify the creature. Trust me when I say we've encountered and studied a vast array of folklore. We have no option but to pass it on to you. Do you know what creature this is, or do you think the whole thing is a hoax? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Picture this. You set out to capture adorable footage of baby bear cubs, only to accidentally capture something far more sinister. The Dogman. Now, here's the question. Would you dare return to that area, or would you keep your distance for good? Confused? Allow me to set the stage and explain what happened. The owner of this Trailcam footage had been closely monitoring a pregnant bear, not with the intention of hunting or harming it, but simply to capture the precious moments of its cub's birth. When the time was ripe and the cubs were about to arrive, he strategically placed his trail camera near the bear's den, hoping to capture breathtaking footage of the newborns. He returned later to see that the cubs had been born and decided to review the footage the trail cam had captured. However, what he witnessed was nothing short of ominous and horrifying. He expected to see cubs, but what he saw on his screen was a creature of nightmares. The creature on the screen appeared to be a peculiar blend of man and canine, a fearsome hybrid that couldn't be categorized as a full-blooded wolf or dog, yet exuded a savage aura. It certainly wasn't a werewolf, since there was no sign of a full moon on the day the recording was made. Bewildered and seeking answers, he turned to the online community for assistance. When the paranormal experts caught wind of the footage, they instantly recognized the truth. They knew exactly what it was. The man had unwittingly captured one of the clearest and closest images we have of the elusive Dogman creature. Even the scientific community, typically skeptical of such claims, couldn't refute this evidence. The man had narrowly escaped a chilling encounter with the Dogman. Truly spine-tingling, don't you think? Now imagine yourself in his shoes. Would you have had the courage to venture back into those same woods? Before you conclude you are seeing things, allow me to assure you that you are not. Behold, right in front of you lies the Minnesota Iceman, a seemingly lifeless Bigfoot. Sure, it exhibits ape-like fur and body, but its proportions and muscular build are strangely reminiscent of a well-built man. You don't need to be a scientist to know that this 7-foot creature walked on 2 feet. But how did it die, and how was the body found? This is a story that no one has been able to figure out. This creature was initially promoted and sent around the world by a man known as Frank Hansen. He claimed that he found the frozen corpse in a region of Siberia. Once authorities started descending on him, however, the story changed multiple times until it was finally declared a hoax. This revelation came after the original body he presented disappeared from public view for months. Hansen then resurfaced with another corpse, claiming it was a more recent capture. However, investigators soon discovered that it was nothing more than a latex and rubber model, skillfully crafted in the West. It even went on sale on eBay in 2013. So what happened to the first model? Was it really a fake as well? Or did Hansen pull it from public view because of threats or fears of it being stolen or taken from him? Well, the truth remains a mystery, but some in the paranormal community speculate that Hansen might have killed and illegally imported a rock ape during his time in the Vietnam War. For those who don't know, the rock ape is a Vietnamese cousin of the Bigfoot. What do you think, though? Hoax or true? Tell us in the comments section. Would the government cover up the existence of cryptids? Well, this next Trailcam footage seems to suggest so. The footage reveals a dog-like creature sprinting through the woods, captured on what appears to be a body cam attached to an individual in pursuit. The story behind this footage is that it was recorded on a government operation to find and suppress a Dogman creature in an undisclosed location. However, after unknown individuals or hackers leaked the footage to the public, they seemingly vanished without a trace. The footage looks weird because it's stabilized footage from a clip that's less than 5 seconds long. You are literally watching it frame by frame. It's hard to ignore how awkward and wacky it looks. Do you think this is the real deal, or is this a well-planned and clever hoax? Tell us in the comments section. Next, we have something that looks like the stuff of horror movies. Don't believe me? Watch the footage. Did you see it? Was that a deer with fangs? No, take a look again. Yup, that's definitely a deer with fangs. Do vampires turn into wild animals too? If they do, I won't be surprised if Count Dracula or one of his inner circles was responsible. I mean, do these creatures go around drinking the blood of other animals, or do they have a taste for human blood? As much as I would love to speculate and fantasize about this all day long, sadly, these creatures are all but ordinary animals. But here's the irony. This particular deer species is known as the Chinese water deer, not a blood-sucking one. Despite their intimidating appearance, these creatures are actually herbivores and practically just deer. They're found in China and Korea, where they are protected. So tell me, if you met this creature in the wild, would you be tempted to pet it, or would you just mind your business and stay far away? Tell us in the comments section. Next, we have a Trailcam capture of what I can only describe as an evil-looking creature. At first glance, you might be tempted to think it's a human playing pranks or even cosplay, but as you go through the capture, it becomes painfully apparent that this is no ordinary being. Its pale and hairless skin, along with its sunken eyes, long limbs, sharp claw-like fingers, and eerie way of moving, brings to mind a mythical creature known as the Rake. Now, when I say the Rake, I'm not referring to the tool you use on your lawns. No, this creature is far more vile and dangerous, with few who encounter it ever living to tell the tale. The origins of this creature remain shrouded in mystery. Some speculate it's the result of a science experiment gone wrong, while others believe it's a human cursed to forever remain in this horrifying form. This chilling footage was captured by a trail cam set up by an older couple residing in the remote regions of Ohio. But why would such a creature venture into Ohio? Could someone be deliberately trying to frighten them? Well, if they lived in the city, we could make that assumption, but they resided far from anyone who would engage in such pranks. This can only mean one thing. What we are witnessing is the real deal. When we set out to compile a list of captivating captures and intriguing footage, I never anticipated stumbling upon something as baffling as a deer with a bucket lodged in its antlers. Yes, you heard that right. There's a bucket on its antlers, and even seeing it, it's still hard to believe it's real. Sure, we've encountered deer with foliage entangled in their antlers before, a natural and understandable part of wildlife, but how on earth do we explain this? Was the bucket intentionally placed there by someone, or did it accidentally become wedged when the deer wandered through human possessions? Intrigued by this peculiar sight, I delved into some research and discovered that far too often, deer end up with objects trapped in their antlers due to human interference. Personally, this realization leaves me with a sense of discomfort. We're already causing substantial harm to our planet, and this should never become an accepted norm. Deer lives matter too. Can trees move? If you answered with a firm no, then you shared the same thoughts as the person behind this perplexing footage. He witnessed a shadowy figure that he initially thought was a tree moving from one spot to the other, as though it didn't want him to notice it. Naturally, he was left puzzled and bewildered. But if it wasn't really a tree, then what in the world was he looking at? Now, you have to understand that he was moving around at dawn, so visibility was on the low side, and given how early it was, he became very frightened. There was a creature lurking around, and he couldn't tell what kind of creature it was. I know, I would be scared too. Thankfully, the creature seemed uninterested in him, merely seeking to evade his presence. However, for reasons that often baffle us, he decided to return to that very location a few days later. Why do people make such choices? Why would one willingly go back to a perilous spot, knowing full well what danger awaits? Nevertheless, on his second visit, the creature ensured it made its presence known. It emitted peculiar sounds unlike anything the man had ever heard from any familiar creature. Take a moment to listen to it. The instant he heard these sounds, he had his confirmation. The encounter was real, and the entity in the woods with him was undoubtedly non-human. But what could it be? While he couldn't provide a definitive answer, he held one suspicion: Bigfoot. Still on the supernatural, watch this next footage.
Starting to regret that I stopped at this rest stop. And they say,
did you hear that? Do you hear those vocalizations? I mean, let's be honest, those vocalizations don't sound like any predator we're familiar with, right? It sounds nothing like a wolf, bear, or even mountain lion. What then could it be? No one truly knows. The recorder of the footage, however, can be heard in the background, stating he can't believe people refuse to believe in Bigfoot after all this. The reason for his statement is simple. Beyond the general consensus among many logical minds that Bigfoot does not exist, many individuals who live near the woods the video was recorded in state that they don't believe in the cryptid despite the numerous sightings of the creature. The strange vocalizations might also have been going on for a long time, and no one has ever been able to get to the bottom of it. So what do you think? Do you believe that we're dealing with a Bigfoot, or do you think there's a more logical explanation to the whole thing? Tell us in the comment section. Think that was odd? Take a look at this deer from upstate New York. Can you see it? Do you notice how odd it looks? It almost looks like a character model from a cartoon or something. There's just one problem: that's not how deer look in the wild. They don't have forward-facing eyes, nor do they have expressions like that. I mean, it looks like a beautiful photorealistic AI-generated image, but it's not. All who saw the image could tell there was something wrong, but couldn't quite put a finger to it. The paranormal community, on the other hand, believes they know what it is: a paranormal being. And there's only one that fits the bill: a skinwalker. Skinwalkers are able to mimic the appearance of animals et al., but they're always flaws because they're not naturally animals. I believe this creature we see might be a bad attempt to imitate a deer, but what do you also think? Speaking of supernatural, this next footage is one for the books. At first glance, the footage you were seeing on your screen looks just like any other trail cam footage. A couple of deer grazing and carefully looking around to make sure they're safe. When the owner of the trail cam reviewed it, he saw the same. After a closer inspection of the video, however, it came to light that there were more characters in the footage than initially thought. Watch the footage again and pay attention. Do you see the face there in the brightened image? At some point in the footage, you see the deer look in that same direction as though they knew the creature was there. Could it be that the Bigfoot noticed the camera and refused to come out and get noticed? Let us know what you think. Brace yourself for this next footage. Throughout my experiences, I've used the word zombie in various contexts, but never did I fathom it applying to a deer. However, when you see this footage, you'll understand why zombie is an apt description. Is it really a zombie, though? We had to seek the help of the scientific community for this one, and here's what we discovered. The deer in question is afflicted by a condition known as cutaneous fibromas, or more commonly, deer warts. Although these hairless tumors may not be as painful as they appear, they unquestionably lead to a diminished quality of life for the affected deer. Looking at this deer, we don't need a vet's opinion to know that this is a severe and very uncomfortable case for the deer. There's not much we can do, which makes it all the more sad. If all you noticed in this footage was the caribou running, I wouldn't blame you. The owner of this particular footage had possessed it for a staggering 16 years without realizing there was something peculiar lurking within. It wasn't until he uploaded the video online that the paranormal community identified something the man himself hadn't noticed. Upon closer examination of the footage, you'll notice a dark, shadowy figure trailing behind the caribou. The figure moves with remarkable speed, almost as if it's using the caribou as a form of camouflage. Now, why is this significant, you may ask? Well, upon analyzing the video, experts estimate that the creature must be at least 8 feet tall to stand out the way it does and cover such a considerable distance in such a short span of time. Now, consider this. Throughout the entire history of mankind, there have been very few individuals who have measured up to 8 feet in height, and when it comes to other creatures and animals, aside from the likes of pythons, giraffes, polar bears, elephants, or even ostriches, it's highly unlikely to encounter beings even remotely as tall. So what could this enigmatic creature be? It exhibits fur covering its entire body, walks on 2 legs, and displays signs of remarkable intelligence. Does that ring any bells? You guessed it, Bigfoot. The paranormal community is fairly confident that what we're witnessing here is none other than Bigfoot. What do you think? Now let's talk about aliens. Yes, aliens. Don't think they are real? Well, that's only because you haven't seen the next footage. Did you catch it? Did you witness those intricate crop circles materialize out of thin air and those 2 mysterious dots gracefully gliding above them? Could they be more than mere specks? What if I told you they were actually extraterrestrial spaceships? Now, I understand if you're skeptical, you wouldn't be the first. This footage dates back to the 1900s, precisely the year 1996. When the man who captured this astonishing video shared it with his contemporaries, they dismissed it as a mere product of video editing. But hold on, was such advanced editing even possible in the 90s? Sure, if you had access to expensive equipment and extensive training, which the man in question lacked. Could he have had it edited earlier? Well, not exactly. The only way that's possible is if he employed people to create the circle after he'd edited the video, because the crop circles were discovered exactly where he filmed the footage when his colleagues investigated the site. It leaves us wondering why they didn't believe him. Could the presence of extraterrestrial beings have somehow influenced their skepticism? The answer remains elusive. Guess we'll never know. Still on the supernatural, watch this footage. Did you see that? Do you see the being that fell into the water? Well, what do you think it is? The person who uploaded the footage captured by their Trailcam believed that what fell into the water was a ghost. However, after the video was uploaded, the paranormal community speculated that it was not a ghost per se, but rather a young lady who had become possessed by one. Personally, I think she might be possessed too. A critical analysis of the footage reveals the presence of either one possessed person near the water or a life-size doll potentially serving as the source of the possession. Although we may not be able to fully tell what we're dealing with, we know that whatever it is, it's a spirit or a ghost of sorts. What do you think? Did you know that there was drone technology that allowed the operators to form images and QR codes in the sky? What if I told you that nature did this first? Confused? Watch this footage. In the footage, we see a group of starlings, or if you want to get technical, a murmuration shape-shifting into various forms. The birds are no strangers to such behavior, but on this particular day, the photographer noticed an unusual level of activity. Intrigued, he focused his attention and readied his camera. And within mere minutes, his preparedness met a golden opportunity, allowing him to capture the extraordinary scene you're witnessing on your screen. And yes, that's a giant bird made up of hundreds, if not thousands, of smaller birds. All who saw this were left in awe, and it didn't just happen once, but twice in the same night, and hasn't happened again ever since then. There are some who believe it's natural and perhaps a mere coincidence, but the paranormal community thinks otherwise. They believe that there could be something more at play, yet can't seem to place their fingers on it. What do you think, though? Next, imagine you are on a romantic date with your spouse in the woods when an unknown creature which doubles as a giant suddenly moves in the bushes ahead of you. How would you respond? Now stop imagining and watch the video. Did you see it? You saw the giant move in the bushes, didn't you? This footage was recorded by a couple whose romantic night out was suddenly interrupted by a disturbance in the bushes, only for them to see what you saw on screen. Now, let's examine the creature's appearance. It's covered in hair, walks upright like a human, and possesses a body reminiscent of an ape. What creature comes to mind from this description? Yes, you're right, a Bigfoot. No one likes a third wheel whilst on a romantic date, but no one expects that third wheel to be a ginormous creature. Everyone seems to believe that the giant was Bigfoot. What do you think? Next is footage I would want you to see before I pass any comments. Watch the clip. Did you notice anything out of place? Have a look again. Did you catch it? Well, in case you missed it, a few seconds into the clip, there's something peculiar moving in the shadows just beyond the reach of the headlights. It's almost as though it's moving quickly so that it's not seen by those in the vehicle. Although it manages to get away, the dashboard cam of the vehicle records it. Upon closer examination of the footage, it becomes evident that the creature is covered in fur and exhibits an uncanny ability to walk upright. Apes can do that, but the footage was recorded in a region where there are no apes. This can only mean one thing: we are dealing with a cryptid. There's only one that fits the bill: Bigfoot. The uploaders were convinced they were dealing with a Bigfoot, and we are as well. But what do you think? Tell us in the comments section. Have you ever heard a Skinwalker scream? Well, we have, and it's a nerve-wracking experience. We were too terrified to even think of recording it at the time. However, we've managed to obtain footage from Gila National Park where multiple Skinwalkers were heard unleashing bone-chilling screams. Have a listen. Did you hear them? Does that sound like any creature you know? And there's something else. I can't tell if you noticed, but you can't hear birds chirping or any other animals. Remember, if you find yourself in the woods and an eerie silence envelops the surroundings, there's only one explanation: a lurking danger. And in this case, we strongly believe it's the presence of a Skinwalker. Beyond that, the voices sound very far, right? That's a good thing. Well, no, Skinwalkers like to make themselves sound very far away, even when they're very close. This is usually to trick you into running into them so that they have their way with you. When you think about that and realize there are multiple voices that sound very far, you know that the one who recorded this footage was lucky to make it out there alive. I mean, I'm having the chills just thinking about it. Next, we have footage that looks like what you'd expect from hell. In the Trailcam footage, which is sped up, we see the forest all suddenly catch fire. The fire does not, however, look like your everyday fire. Instead, it looks purplish and bluish. You don't have to be a pyrotechnics expert to know that such fires are hotter than your everyday fire. Many enthusiasts of the paranormal, including us, initially suspected a supernatural cause due to the unusual nature of the fire's origin. It turns out, however, that there was a forest fire in the area and it spread to that location. But that's not exactly how fires spread now, is it? Either share your thoughts with us in the comments section. We'd love to hear them. And for our final footage, we have a couple watching their newborn child on a baby monitor when they notice something strange. There on the side of the baby cot is a pair of glowing eyes looking at the baby. It stands there for a while and then goes away. We don't have much info on the footage, so we can console ourselves with the idea that that could be a dog. There is an eerie feeling, though, that makes me think it was not a dog, but some sort of evil entity that was after the child. What do you think? And that ends today's episode. Thanks for staying with us. Before you go, are there popular trail cams out there you'd want us to look at? Please tell us in the comments section, as we'll be reading. You can also send us a mail of strange and unexplainable videos you may have recorded yourself. Just forward them to classifiedcaptures@gmail.com. We'll upload it in our next episode and give you the credit, unless you want to remain anonymous. We look forward to receiving your content. Like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to share the video with your friends and family. See you in the next